I've been playing Ready or Not for over 4 years and have thousands of hours in this game, and today I'm going to show you exactly what my favorite loadout is if I could only pick one. From armor and weapons to tactical equipment and tools, I've had the most success with this setup, and it has helped me play through every mission in this game at a high success rate, even during some of the hardest missions. This is the perfect balance of damage output, protection, movement speed, accuracy, and gives us enough tactical equipment to handle any scenario we come across. Now let's start with our primary weapon. Now I actually used to mainly use the SA-58 for the ridiculous damage output, but after a while the low ammo capacity and over penetration made it much less viable. So I ultimately ended up switching to the GA-416, and I never looked back. This is by far my favorite choice, and for three main reasons. First, the damage output is still really solid at around 122 to 132 based on using armor piercing or JHP rounds. This is more than enough damage output to have the edge on pretty much anything we come up against on any mission. This rifle can put down suspects with no problem, even if they are wearing armor. For reference, I believe suspects have 320 starting health and become incapacitated when dropping below 160, or obviously they become dead at 0. So if each of our shots are averaging around 122 to 132 damage, we only need 2 or 3 shots max to drop a suspect. And with the 6x headshot multiplier on most all guns, one single headshot from this gun will drop them as well. This is why I talk about not needing to mag dump suspects and all sorts of other useful information in my top 10 tips video that I highly recommend you check out after this. And that brings us to reason number 2, which is the crazy fire rate of this gun. It's right around 750 rounds per minute, and it makes it one of the fastest firing rifles in this game. Comparing this to the fastest weapon in the game, which is the SPC submachine gun at around 1666 rounds per minute, the GA-416 is plenty fast with the benefit of having 5.56 caliber rounds at our disposal. This gun can melt suspects consistently, and even though there are 6 other rifles with the same fire rate, the GA-416 has low recoil and drag compared to those other 6. Finally, at number 3, even with the high fire rate and damage output, the GA-416 is still super easy to control recoil and move around with. It's not heavy, and with the right attachments, which we will go over those in a second, the recoil on this thing is very minimal and very controllable, whether on a mouse and keyboard or controller. So that being said, let's take a look at our attachments. First, we have the sight or optic, and while this does come down to preference, after using all of these for many years, I always find myself coming back to the EXP S3 Holo sight. This gives us a nice wide FOV and a nice solid circle and dot for aiming. It doesn't obstruct our vision compared to something like the SDR sight where we can't even see to the right side of us anymore. This is the perfect sight to run if you want a clear FOV with an easy way to acquire targets and aim. Next up, let's take a look at our underbarrel attachment. This will be a primary source of recoil reduction, and we want this attachment to help with recoil control without giving up too much handling or movement speed. And that's why I'm going with the angled grip. This is going to give us a good amount of horizontal recoil reduction at around minus 20% while maintaining our handling and reducing our ADS time by 35%. We are focusing on horizontal recoil control here, as the less horizontal recoil there is, we can just focus on only having to manage vertical recoil, which is much easier to compensate for. Now, continuing to further help reduce our recoil, we also want to toss on a muzzle attachment. Now for this, I personally always choose a suppressor, in this case the SOCOM suppressor, and this helps reduce output noise while still reducing vertical recoil around 10%, and it also reduces suspect stress per shot. If you didn't know, suspects go from a passive to alert state when gaining around a 0.25 stress level, except on Club, Hospital, or Elephant, where the suspects already start in a stressed state. Now, if you don't care about suppressors and want max recoil reduction, the SFMB brake will give you a much better reduction of vertical recoil at around minus 40%. Finally, we have our underbarrel. For this, I will be using the the flashlight because on every single mission, I will use this to help clear certain areas that are dark, but not dark enough for the use of night vision. Alright, let's move on to our secondary weapon. My go-to sidearm in Ready or Not is either the G19 or the USP-45. While the G19 does give us more ammo capacity, the fact that it is a 9mm is a slight drawback. Yes, it's accurate, but in my opinion, the only time we are taking out a sidearm is if we simply don't have enough time to reload our primary weapon. So if our pistol is coming out, we need to put suspects down as quickly and effectively as possible. This is why I personally use and recommend the USP-45. While still accurate with well-placed shots, the fact that it's loaded with 45 caliber ammunition compared to 9mm gives us that higher damage output that we can rely on when relying on a sidearm to finish a gunfight while still having a respectable 12-round capacity. The USP-45 will consistently put down suspects and even suspects wearing level 2 armor in 2 shots. And with a fire rate of 500 rounds per minute, it's also one of the fastest pistols in the game. Looking at the attachments for the USP-45, we want to grab the standard suppressor, not the obsidian suppressor, and this way we get max recoil reduction at -10% vertical recoil. I'm also going to include the RMR red dot sight to help with accuracy while lowering ADS time as well, and I'm also adding that flashlight. But hey, sometimes it's better to just bring this big boy and turn suspects into dust. Alright, now with that all out of the way, let's take a look at our armor and vest setup to help us get a good amount of protection without giving up too much movement speed. So I recommend using light armor with front and back plate coverage and ceramic plates. I'm not a big fan of steel because the movement speed reduction is just too clunky in my opinion, and being able to get in and out of cover quickly or being able to move around quicker is much more important to me than the small increase in protection that steel plates can give us. And the reason we're selecting a light vest compared to a heavy vest is to give ourselves a few more slots for ammo and equipment. Speaking of ammo and equipment, let's first fill out our ammo slots for our primary and secondary weapons. For our primary, I'm gonna grab 3 AP mags and 3 JHP mags, so I have plenty of ammo for any mission, and I also have the flexibility to swap between ammo types if I need. Now for our secondary, I'm only gonna be grabbing one of each ammo type because we're not really relying on this, and being a backup weapon in many cases, we're not even going to be using it, so we don't really want to waste any extra slots for ammo that we're never even going to use. Moving on to our tactical grenades, I always bring 2 flashes at all times. Now as for equipment, I always bring 2 wedges as these are super underrated and have saved me so many times from flanks and from civilians trying to run away. It's super annoying to have to run around the map for like 20 minutes looking for that one civilian that got scared and ran off. So I highly recommend always bringing some wedges with you as they have so many different uses and can really protect your cheeks. Now for headwear, I'm going with the anti-flash goggles just in case I misthrow a flash or a teammate or my friend misthrow a flash, because it's definitely happened many of times. And I'm also going to bring a ballistic mask for that small amount of extra protection just in case we catch an unlucky headshot from some low caliber rounds. I'm also going to bring a pair of night vision goggles in case we come across some dark areas that our regular weapon mounted flashlight isn't strong enough for. I also think the white phosphor option is much better and easier to see. And that's everything I would use and set up if I could only have one loadout forever for all missions. This really is giving us great damage output, protection, movement speed, and enough tactical equipment to handle whatever we come across. Let me know what you like or don't like about this setup. Give it a try for yourself. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video.